you're new here, thanks for coming in and giving us a chance. I really appreciate it. And please feel free to hit the subscribe and the bell below if you like the channel. And if you're already a subscriber or you're just watching, thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it. I consider you all part of Auntie Angel's family. And when I say my prayers at night, I ask for blessings for everyone who views my videos. So let's get comfortable. I want you to get as comfortable as you can, whether you're on a bed, a couch, a chair, the floor with cushions, whatever makes you feel good. Okay? Make sure the lighting is the way you like. If you love candles, please use the electric or the battery operated ones. Auntie Angel's #1 rule: no lit candles when we're trying to sleep. That's just too dangerous, and I care too much about all of you. Okay, so I think maybe we should, let's do some breathing, and then we can do this. Okay, so we're going to breathe in for a count of 4. We're going to gently hold for a count of 4, and we're going to release for a count of 4. If you can do 4, if you can only do 2, do 2. You do what makes you comfortable. This is all about you, and that's what I am interested in. Okay, so let's begin. We'll do three together. Okay. And release. Good. Let's try one more. Hold. Release. Excellent. Last one together. Hold. And release. Excellent. Now you do that as many times as you need to, okay? Let me just get my glasses. And like I said, this is a book of Celtic fairy tales. Celtic fairy tales. 20 classic stories, including The Black Cat, Lufty and the Mermaid, and The Fiddler in the Cave. Oh, they sound good. Okay, are you ready? Get comfortable. Close your eyes. Okay, we're going to read tonight The King of Ireland's Son. There was a king's son in Ireland long ago, and he went out into the snow with his gun and his dog. He killed a raven, and the raven fell onto the snow. I will never eat 2 meals at one table or sleep 2 nights in one house until I find a woman whose hair is as black as the raven's wing, whose skin is as white as the snow, and whose cheek is as red as the raven's blood, he said. There was only one woman like that, and she was a prisoner of the king of poison in the eastern world. So the next day he set out. Money was scarce, but he took 20 pounds for the journey. He had not gone far before he came upon a funeral, and he said he would walk 3 steps alongside the coffin. He had not walked the 3 steps when a man stepped up and set down a bill on the coffin for an unpaid debt of 5 pounds. The dead man's sons and daughters were weeping and wailing because it was the law in Ireland in those days that even a dead man must pay his debts before he could be buried. When the king's son heard this, he reached into his pocket and he paid the 5 pounds. After that, he said he would walk as far as the church. At the church gate, another man set down a bill for 5 pounds. And the king's son said, "If I have paid one 5 pounds, I can pay 2. and he paid the debt. So now he only had 10 pounds left. He went on his way, and he had not gone far before he met a short green man who asked him where he was going. He said, "I am seeking a woman in the Eastern world." The short green man said, "Do you want a servant?" "Yes," said the king's son, "but I don't have much money. What wages would you be wanting?" "The first kiss from your bride, if you win her," said the short green man. The king's son agreed to that. They went on their way. They had not gone far when they met another man. This man was pointing his gun into the far distance, but they could not see what he was aiming at. "What are you doing?" asked the king's son. "I'm going to shoot the blackbird that is in the Eastern world to have it for my supper," said the Iman. "Well then, you had better come along with us," said the short green man. It was not long before they met another man. This one had his ear to the ground. "What are you doing?" asked the king's son. "I'm listening to the grass growing in the Eastern world," said the earman. "Then you had better come with us," said the short green man. Farther along they met another man who was herding a field of hares. This man had one leg crossed over with the foot slung over his shoulder. "Why are you hopping about like that?" asked the king's son. "If I unhook this leg, I would walk so fast that I would soon be out of sight," said the footman. "Then you had better come with us," said the short green man. A while later, they met another man who was turning a windmill by snorting through one nostril. He was keeping the other nostril closed with his fingers. "Why do you have your finger on your nose?" asked the king's son. "Oh, if I were to blow with both nostrils, I would sweep that windmill right up into the air," said the blowman. "You had better come with us," said the short green man. Then they met another man who was breaking stones by the side of the road. He did not have any hammer. He was breaking the stones with one of his thighs. "What are you doing?" asked the king's son. "If I use both my thighs," he said, "I would grind this stone into a powder." And the short green man said, "You had better come with us." So the son of the king of Ireland, the short green man, the Iman, the earman, the footman, the blowman, and the thightman all went forward together until evening came and the end of the day. They came to the house of a giant, and the short green man said, "We shall stop here tonight." He went up to the door and rat-a-tatted with his stick. The giant came to the door, saying, "I feel the smell of a melodious lying Irishman in the air." The short green man said, "I am no melodious lying Irishman. I am come to tell you that my master is coming, and that if he finds you here, he will strike your head off." As he spoke, the short green man was growing bigger and bigger and bigger until he was nearly the size of the giant's house. "Is your master as big as you are?" asked the giant fearfully. "Bigger," said the green man. "Help me hide until morning," begged the giant. So the short green man put the giant under lock and key, and he went back to tell the king's son the coast was clear. The son of the king of Ireland, the short green man, the Iman, the earman, the footman, the blowman, and the thightman spent the night in the giant's castle, 1/3 of it telling fairy tales, 1/3 of it telling tales of hero Finn McCool, and 1/3 of it in sweet, sweet slumber. In the morning they left. The short green man went back to release the giant. But before he would undo the lock, he asked the giant to give him the old black cap that was under his bed. "I will give you a brand new top hat I have never worn," said the giant. "I would be ashamed to give you my old black cap." But the short green man insisted. "I don't care if you give me the old black cap. My master will come back and strike your head off if you don't." "In that case, I shall give it to you," said the giant. The short green man undid the lock, and the giant gave him the old black cap, saying, "If you put this on your head, you can see everyone, but no one can see you." The next night they spent a second giant's house, 1/3 of the night telling fairy tales, 1/3 of the night telling tales of Finn McCool, and 1/3 in sweet, sweet slumber. This time when they left, the short green man asked the giant for the old slippers that were under the bed. The giant offered him a new pair of boots, but he insisted. So the giant gave them to him. "If you put these slippers on and say hi over, they will take you wherever you want to go." The next night, they spent a third at a third giant's house, 1/3 of it telling fairy tales, 1/3 telling tales of Finn McCool, and 1/3 in sweet, sweet slumber. This time, the short green man asked the giant for the rusty sword that was under the bed. "I would not give that sword to anyone," said the giant. But the short green man insisted. "If you don't give me the rusty sword, my master will come back and strike your head off." "You shall have the sword," said the giant. "It will cut through anything, even iron, and will not stop until it touches the earth." So the King of Ireland's son, the short green man, the eyeman, the earman, the footman, the blowman, and the thigh-man went forward again until evening came, and the end of the day. At that night they had arrived in the eastern world, where lived a lady, has hair as black as a raven's wing, skin as white as the snow, and cheeks as red as blood. The king's son and his companions got lodging in the castle of the King of Poison, where the lady was. The castle was all set around with skulls on spikes. "What do you want?" asked the lady. "I want to marry you," said the king's son. "If you want to marry me, you must free me from this enchantment," said the lady. "But I must tell you, all the skulls that you see around the castle wall are the skulls of men who have tried to set me free. If you fail, your skull will join theirs." "I am not afraid," said the King of Ireland's son. So the lady gave him a pair of scissors. "This is the first test," she said. "You must give those scissors back to me in the morning." "Well, that's not much of a test," said the king's son. But in the night the lady placed a pin of slumber under his pillow, so that as soon as he went to bed he fell fast asleep. And then she came and she took the scissors and gave them to the King of Poison. If the short green man had not been keeping watch, the king's son would have been lost. But the short green man put the old black cap on his head and the old slippers on his feet, and he took the rusty sword in his hand and he said, "Hi over!" And in a flash he found himself in the room of the King of Poison. He took the scissors back and gave them to the king's son. In the morning the lady said, "Do you have my scissors?" And the king's son replied, "Yes, lady, I have them." So the next night she gave him a comb and said that he must give it back to her in the morning. Again she set the pin of slumber under his pillow and stole the comb. She gave it to the King of Poison. Again the short green man put on his hat, his slippers, his rusty sword, and he stole it back. In the morning, when the king's son woke, he felt for the comb, but it was gone. "I've lost it," he cried. But the short green man said, "Don't worry, I have it." And when the king's son gave the lady the comb, she was full of wonder. On the third night she said to the son of the King of Ireland, "Tomorrow morning you must give me the head of the man who cuts his hair with the scissors and combs his hair with this comb. If you do not, you will lose your own head." That night she gave the scissors and the comb to the king of poison and told him to guard them with his life. So the king of poison hid them inside a great stone and locked it behind 80 locks and sat beside it all night long. The lady set the pin of slumber under the pillow again, and the king's son fell asleep. But the short green man put on his old black cap, the old slippers, and took his rusty sword. "Hie over," he said, and in an instant he was beside the great stone. He could see the king of poison, but the king of poison could not see him, for he was wearing the cap of invisibility. The short green man drew the rusty sword. With his first stroke, he cut through the locks. With the second, he cut through the stone. And with the third, he cut off the king of poison's head. When the short green man returned, he woke the king's son and gave him the head, the scissors, and the comb. In the morning the lady came. "Do you have the head?" And the king's son replied, "I have the head, the scissors, and the comb." And he threw her the head at the king of poison. The lady gave out such a shriek of anger. "I will never marry you unless you can send a runner who will fetch 3 bottles of the water of life from the well of the western world, and fetch them back quicker than the runner I will send. If my runner comes back first, you will lose your head." The lady sent for an old hag and gave her 3 empty bottles to fetch water from the well of the western world. The short green man asked for 3 bottles to be given to the footman who had been herding a field of hares. The footman and the hag set off together. The footman unhooked his foot from over his shoulder, and soon he was out of sight. He got to the well of the western world, filled his bottles, and was halfway home before the hag was halfway there. He greeted her and said, "Sit down and rest a while. You're already married, so there's no need to break your heart running." So he settled down, and she put a slumber pin under his head so that he fell asleep. Then she spilled out the water of life from his bottles and went on his way. The short green man said, "The footman is a long time coming, Earman. Put your ear to the ground and tell me what's happening." "I can hear the hag coming," he said the Earman. "But the footman is fast asleep. I can hear him snoring." So the short green man asked the Eyeman to see if he could see where the footman was. "Aye, he's lying asleep by the road with a slumber pin under his head. Put your gun to your eye and shoot that pin away." The Eyeman put his gun to his eye and he shot the pin from underneath the footman's head. The footman awoke with a start, saw his bottles were empty and that he had to go back to the well. As he set off, he was passed by the hag on her way to the castle. The Eyeman said, "The hag is coming." The short green man said to the blowman, "Can you try to stop her?" The blowman blew out of his right nostril. It buffeted the hag, but she kept on coming. He blew with his left nostril. It swayed the hag, but she kept on coming. At last, he blew with both nostrils, and he sent her sailing through the air all the way back to the well of the western world. The footman came running up with the 3 bottles of water, and the son of the King of Ireland had won that race. The lady set out another shriek of anger. She said, "I will never marry you unless you've walked 3 miles without shoes or stockings over sharp steel needles." And she had sharp needles set point up over a road 3 miles long. The short green man said to the thighmen, "Go and blunt those." The thighmen went along with 1 thigh and reduced them to stumps. He went along them with 2 thighs and reduced them to powder. And the King of Ireland's son walked along the road as free and easy as any fine young lad on a country stroll. So he had won his wife with hair as black as raven's wing, skin as white as snow, and cheeks as red as blood. As they were married, the short green man said, "Do not forget, I am to have the first kiss." So the short green man kissed the bride, and all the poisonous serpents that the king of poison had put in her with his spells came out of her mouth. If the king's son had kissed her, he would have been bitten to death. Then the short green man said to the son of the king of Ireland, "You can go with your wife now. I am the man who was in the coffin that day that you paid the 10 pounds so that my body could be buried. These others are servants whom God has sent to you to repay your kindness." Then the short green man, the eyeman, the earman, the footman, and the blowman, and the thieman went away, and the son of the king of Ireland never saw them again. He brought his wife home, with her hair black as raven's wing, her skin white as snow, and her cheeks red as blood, and they spent a very happy life together with one another. Sorry, the candle fell, which is why we don't use lit ones. So I hope that you are already having sweet, sweet dreams. Yeah. Remember that I love you, I value you, I honor you, and I'm so very, very glad that you were born. Yeah.